everybody and welcome, and it's 1 minute past 4 and it's time now for Word of Info. Samir Ibrahim is at the controls of Najla Naguib with Dr. Amr Mabrouk, Professor of Plastic Surgery at Ain Shams University. Starting right away, and today we're pleased to have with us Dr. Brian Schott, Press Attaché at the American Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, and Dr. Amr Mabrouk. Hello.
It's a great pleasure to have with us a distinguished diplomat in Egypt, a gentleman with a PhD in anthropology. I worked as an associate professor in University of Virginia, and even as assistant dean, helping a lot of doctors and a lot of students and a lot of pupils to find out their career, and then he decided to make a decision to shift from anthropology to another illustrious career, which is in diplomacy. So he got best of both worlds. We have to find out the story behind anthropology, which is the science of humanity, and how did it all start. I mean, you were an academic working in academia and reached a very high caliber in academia and finding your way through other anthropology, and suddenly you have decided to shift your career. And this was 15 years ago, right? Almost.
Thereabouts, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So tell us about that.
I will happily tell you about that. Let me first thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to, I've enjoyed meeting you, talking with you, and I look forward to sharing with you whatever little bits of experience and insight I can. You pretty much aptly summed it up. I spent several years at the University of Virginia, prior to joining the State Department, which was, as you put, just about 15 years ago. And you aptly characterized anthropology as the study of humanity. I often thought of it as the science of man and society. And what I did, what other anthropologists did, was look at the relationships that make up the societies we live in. Some of them are societies that are no longer living, which we would then call archaeology. Some of them are societies that are living. Some look at it in different perspectives in different ways. My particular focus was in Eastern Europe. I did my PhD in Macedonia. That's exactly right. And where I looked at the relationships, ethnic relations, in fact, between the minority Albanian population and the majority Macedonian population. And spent a lot of time living and working in the Balkans. And in fact, after I finished my degree, after I spent a couple of years teaching, after I spent a couple of years as one of the assistant deans, as you said, trying to help students find their way through the diversity of offerings at the University of Virginia, I was interested in getting back overseas. I was interested in more, if you will, hands-on policy engagement, where the issues and the topics that we were thinking about and talking about got put into practice. And that's what got me to diplomacy.
So before we go into diplomacy, I mean, we would like to give our listeners just a hint about anthropology, because sometimes people do not really grasp the importance of anthropology. And in the United States of America, anthropology has a different perspective and a different aspect other than the aspects that it has in Europe. For example, anthropology is the study of humanities, and this includes the cultural anthropology, there is the social anthropology, and there is the linguistic anthropology. But there is a very big sector which is called archaeology, and this is included in anthropology in the United States of America, while it is a separate entity in Europe for a very long time, and has been there as a separate entity. So how come things are a bit different in the United States of America, and at the same time things really modified into all these aspects in one science?
Amr, I think you've hit on a very good point, and I would take it actually one step further. You mentioned linguistic anthropology, you mentioned social anthropology, you mentioned cultural anthropology. There has developed as well what would be called biological anthropology. There has developed as well what would be called medical anthropology. Yes. There had been in existence, but it's not practiced much anymore, what was called physical anthropology.
Yes, I was just going to say
and all of these aspects of anthropology had one thing in common. And the one thing they had in common was looking at the common humanity, those issues that are common to men, women, children, humans, people all over the world, but the differences that are expressed in different societies and different cultures and different ways people organize themselves actually as they live their lives. The split in the United States, the difference between the way the United States looks at it and the way other countries look at it, I think is more an academic distinction, because I think what they do is the same thing.
Yes.
They look at this. They try to understand the relationships in society. Now, in archaeology, it's a challenge because those societies no longer exist.
Yes.
So archaeologists look at the remains.
And you have to learn a lot of dead languages. This is definitely a specialty that demands a lifetime.
That's right. That's right. You learn to understand the things that people leave behind. You learn to understand the cultural artifacts. You here in Egypt know that better than certainly better than I do, having one of the oldest civilizations.
Yes.
Going back many thousands of years, with a lot of effort has been put into understanding that. There's nobody living today whom you can ask what went on in the ancient settlements. But scientists, archaeologists, by looking at the relationships between what they've left behind, looking at where it was left, and looking at the inscriptions and the paintings we found, have been able to interpret and come to understand it. And that's what anthropology does, whether it's looking at society and social relations, whether it's looking at the cultural artifacts in terms of music, for example, or art, or whether it's looking at the different ways medicine is practiced, or whether it's looking at the different ways people feed themselves and take care of their bodies. Physical anthropology, as I said, sort of fell out of fashion. It was looking mostly at the physical differences between humans. They're most famously, or infamously, I guess I should say, known for measuring people's heads.
Yes, the Darwin's.
And trying to relate that to ideas of more advanced civilizations and less advanced civilizations. When in point of fact, civilizations progress and they develop in different ways, but all societies have found ways to meet the needs of the people who live in the societies, or they wouldn't exist.
Of course, this is definitely something that we want to discuss more, but I think after the break.
Yes, and we'll be back with Dr. Brian Schott, Press Attaché at the American Embassy in Cairo, and Dr. Amr Mabrouk, Professor of Plastic Surgery at Ain Shams University.
From the start, you were a thief, you stole my heart, and I, your willing victim. I let you see the parts of me that weren't all that pretty, and with every touch you fixed them. Now you've been talking in your sleep, oh, things you never say to me. Tell me that you've had enough of our love, Just give me a reason, just a little bit's enough. Just a second, we're not broken, just bends, and we can learn to love again. It's in the stars, it's been written in the scars on our hearts. We're not broken, just bends, and we can learn to love again. I'm sorry, I don't understand where all of this is coming from. I thought that we were fine. Oh, we had everything. Your head is running wild again. My dear, we still have everything, and it's all in your mind. Yeah, but this is happening. You've been having real bad dreams. Oh, you used to lie so close to me. Oh, there's nothing more than empty sheets between our love. Oh, our love, our
So back again and word of info with Dr. Brian Schott, press attaché at the American Embassy in Cairo, and talking about anthropology.
Yes, we're definitely here in anthropology because I think anthropology is the subject that brought you back or brought you in with the Foreign Service or the State Department, because you were doing your PhD in Macedonia and you were interested into the the relations between two ethnicities, the minority of the Albanians and the majority of the Macedonians, and studying this, or the culture and the social anthropology of this whole society, going back for academia again in the United States. And then your first assignment in the State Department was in Macedonia, right?
Close, but not quite.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay,
We'll make this as a bridge between academia and the State Department.
Amr, you were not very far off. My first assignment in the State Department was in Albania, which of course is a neighboring country right next to, across the border from Macedonia. And ironically, some told me, the State Department actually sent somebody to an assignment that he or she actually knew something about and where somebody had worked. Because you probably know the way the State Department works. We're assigned and we serve at the needs of the service and at the needs, obviously, of the United States and the President. And we may be needed someplace else. Well, in this case, it happened to work out that I was needed in Albania. So, and then after that, I served in Macedonia. So it was a good opportunity.
Across the borders.
Across the border, exactly. Yes, it was a good opportunity to go back to part of the world I was familiar with, but to go back in a very different way. Because as opposed to being an independent researcher, working on my PhD thesis, or working in educational exchange programs, now I was a representative of the U.S. government. Now, what I learned through the research experience in the region about people, about relationships, and about engaging with people was something that I wanted to pursue further. I went back to the United States. I finished up the doctoral thesis, got my PhD, and as you mentioned at the outset, I taught classes for a couple of years and worked as one of the assistant deans. But I wanted to get back engaged. I wanted to get back into practice, if you will, the practice of
the practical side of anthropology, right?
Well, the practical side of anthropology and the practical side of engaging, because as an academic discipline, anthropology and anthropologists are trained, if you will, to step outside of a context, a situation, or a society, and look at it and understand it. Not to meddle around in it and not to try to impose different ideas upon it. In some cases, extreme cases, not even to try to help them, because that would historically, anyway, in anthropology, have been thought of as disrupting the natural order of anthropology. And I felt my interests and my skills could be better served by being more engaged and being more involved. So I looked at ways to do that. One of the ways is, of course, the Foreign Service, and here I am.
And Albania was still starting to go out of the cocoon of communism, one of the longest-serving communist countries, and Anwar Hoxha always leaving a shadow as the big brother.
That's right.
And suddenly you find him disappeared, and Albania is becoming, we cannot say totally normalized, but definitely there is definitely a big change of heart, and you were there to witness that. How can you tell us about this?
It was certainly moving in that direction. When I was there, Albania achieved independence, I believe, in 1991. I arrived about a decade later. And you're absolutely right. There was this thirst, there was this hunger for contact, for engagement with other countries, with the outside world, as it were. But it was remarkable because Albanians were remarkably entrepreneurial. They were interested, they were engaging, they were receptive to learning foreign languages, they were receptive to engaging because I think during the communist period under Hoxha they were almost forced to. In other words, to meet their daily needs. They had to find ways. And they were like I said, entrepreneurial in the fact that they were starting businesses to do virtually everything, and some successfully, some not so successfully, but they weren't giving up. And I think this was the key component. It's a beautiful country. It was fairly unregulated. There was a lot of unregulated growth for a time. Now, I haven't been back for several years, but I think that they've managed to bring that under control. But what that meant was that it sort of fostered, chaotic traffic patterns, if you will, and building in places where there hadn't been zoning regulations put in place or zoning regulations adhered to. But this was an expression of people finding ways to make sense of this new world, because the communism actually, as you said, was lifted. Enver Hoxha died. I think it was in 1985, and there was an interim period in there. But now the doors were thrown wide open. The doors were thrown open. A lot of Albanians tried to leave, taking in fact some of the what was called brain drain at the time with them. But a lot of people also went in to try to work with Albania and support Albanians as they tried to make sense of the new order, the new world.
And definitely you were a witness of the demolishing of some of the famous bunkers over there, right? You've seen them, right?
I've seen the bunkers, Amr. I don't know what they've done with them, but the bunkers.
They still have one near the main square.
I'm sure the bunkers are everywhere. There were a lot of rumors at the time. Rumors that there was so much steel used in the bunkers that companies wanted to reclaim the steel and use it. But they literally were everywhere.
Bunker for every human being.
I think it was a bunker for every 2 or 3. In fact, I heard estimates somewhere between 500,000 and 800,000 of these bunkers around the country. Some larger, some smaller.
The ones who are left are simply considered to be tourist attraction right now.
Some are tourist attractions. I remember seeing some along the coast that were larger ones, which would have apparently housed an artillery piece that people have turned into small shops. But yeah, as you say, using the entrepreneurial spirit to capitalize on the resources they had, and that was one of the resources.
We have a very big weak spot towards Albania, of course, as you know, that Muhammad Ali, the founder of modern Egypt, came originally from Albania. And so we still have, as Egyptians, we have inherited some part of Albania and some buildings that belong to Muhammad Ali.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So it's interesting to talk about Albania every once in a while, and definitely it's very interesting to share with you the experience of Albania. And of course, when you cross the borders, what happened?
Which borders? Back to Macedonia, you mean? Or?
Yes.
That was in a sense.
As if coming home, right?
Well, I was just going to say, you took the words right out of my mouth, Amr. That was as if coming home, because I knew a lot of people there. I had spent a lot of time there. But again, I was going back in a very different capacity. Yes. I was going back now as an official representative of the U.S. government. So my personal relationships with people necessarily were very different, and they were changed. And I had a lot of very rich relationships, a lot of good friendships, and they continued. But now I was also, of course, involved in many other different things. Working at the embassy, I worked first in the consular section. Then I was the public affairs officer. So I was engaged, but engaged in a different way. And I didn't have the luxury to sit with people and talk with people and try to understand their daily lives as I had before. So in that respect, it was a little bit of a change. On the other hand, my new capacity, my different capacity, opened up doors that would never have been opened before. They were the Macedonians, Macedonian government was open to engaging with us, it was open to working with us. We were able to do a great many things in educational exchange programs that allowed Macedonians to study in the United States, Americans to come and study in Macedonia. So we did a lot to promote things that I could never have done had I not been a diplomat, had I not been at the embassy.
And definitely this work has made a lot of repercussions, because after that you have been transferred to another, we say that it is almost a nearby world, but it's a totally different world, right? So after the break we want to stop in Iraq. Was it first Iraq or Morocco first?
Whichever way you would like to do it.
where did you stop first?
Morocco, yes.
So we'll go to Morocco.
Okay.
After the break.
Okay, so back again, word of info, and you can call us at 2578-9407.
I'm thumbing my way into North Carolina, staring up the road and pray to God I see headlights. I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I'm hoping for Raleigh I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold off of New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. My baby plays the guitar, I pick a banjo now. Oh, no country winters keep a getting me down. Lost my money playing poker, so I had to leave town. But I ain't a turning back to living that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Walking to the south out of Roanoke, I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toke. But he's headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. I gotta move on before the sun. I hear my baby calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Oh, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Oh, so rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, I wanna feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, yeah, yeah, mama, you can rock me, rock me.
Right from the start, you were a thief, you stole my heart, and I, your willing victim. I let you see the parts of me.
Okay, so back again, World of Info, and with Dr. Brian Schott, and taking us to Morocco.
Yes. When did you go to Morocco?
Amar, I arrived in Morocco in the late summer, I believe it was, of 2009.
Wow. This is a brand new experience because now you have left Europe or Southern Europe or the countries that you felt very much involved with due to your PhD thesis and your work as an anthropologist and then your work as a diplomat, going to a different country and a different type of people. These are Arabs and they are living on the most western side of the Arab world. This Morocco, a very beautiful country with very nice people and definitely different traits and different anthropological background than the people that you love to work with in Macedonia and Albania. Tell us how the experience was. There a sort of cultural shock in the beginning, or you felt at home from the very start?
It's interesting because I think it's a little bit of both. Because on the one hand, you're absolutely right. We're now in a different part of the world, although we're around the Mediterranean.
Yes, this
okay?
is what makes it so special.
And what brings it around the Mediterranean is the sort of unity over the years of the Ottoman Empire, for example, spreading through Eastern Europe and to a lesser extent in North Africa,
Yes.
but leaving traces there.
I mean, they definitely reached Algiers,
Yeah.
but the control over Morocco was always sort of a nominal control.
No, it was.
You can never tell that the Ottoman Sultan had control over the mountains and the valleys of Morocco.
No, and I wouldn't say they did, but nonetheless, the cultural traces and the cultural influences, I think, are evident and present in different ways. The coffee, the tea, a lot of the foods are very similar around the Mediterranean. So there's that component to it. However, you're absolutely right. I mean, Morocco, as it was described to me on many occasions, sees itself as a three-legged stool, with one leg in Europe, one leg in the Arab world, and one leg in Africa.
Yes.
And these are the influences there, particularly when you move away from the coastal cities. When you move away from Rabat and Casablanca and you go into the Atlas Mountains or over the mountains into the desert, the African influence is there. And I'm not a musician, but I know enough and enjoy listening to music enough to be able to hear the differences in the music, for example.
You've seen the Tuareg, of course, the famous tribes of Tuareg.
The Tuareg in the desert, yeah, that's absolutely right.
They have their extensions in Mauritania and in Mali and all these areas. So this makes them more or less not an ethnic diversion, but definitely proud people of their own culture and their own integrity, right?
Well, and they were moving through the region, the Sahel region, before any of these state or national borders were drawn.
So they're still considering themselves citizens of the desert, if I may use the expression. Not, of course, the Desert Republic with all the issues, but I mean their beliefs that they are all belonging to one tribe, one big tribe that goes around, makes the trade and the bond and the brotherhood bond between them is a bit strong ties, right?
I think you're probably right about that, although I would, as we would say, it would be an empirical question to look then, to go back to anthropology, to look then at the distinctions or the differences within the Tuareg, for example, over a large expanse. Because we're talking about a huge territory here. Obviously, by the time you get from Morocco and the Atlantic coast to Algeria, to Libya, and
Mali,
over to Mali and what have you. That's a huge area.
Yes, that's always the big Western Desert.
So the big Western Desert itself. So the issue then is what are the connections, the similarities, but again, from an anthropological perspective, what are the differences as they've come to be manifest across that large territory?
But Moroccans are very famous for their hospitality and their kindness. Definitely, you had an enriching experience, if we use the expression right.
You put it perfectly, and I think that's absolutely the case. The tradition, whether it's of drinking tea, whether it's a tradition of dining sort of collectively around a large bowl of couscous, absolutely, I felt welcome, well received, pretty much everywhere I went in Morocco, and I had the good fortune of traveling around most of the country. It's a diverse country, it's a fascinating country, with beautiful beaches, beautiful mountains, beautiful desert, charming towns, large and small. You've heard, of course, of Marrakesh and Casablanca, but maybe not of some of the smaller places like Chefchaouen or Essaouira. And all of these are lovely places. Yeah, I would heartily recommend, should you have or anybody have the opportunity to visit, that you do so, because I think that's what you'd find. Hospitality, warmth, beautiful climate, good food, and these different influences, and I think that's what's key.
And your job there was also in the culture aspect, as a culture attaché or cultural council over there, or you were involved in the normal vis-a-vis or day-to-day business in the embassy?
I was the deputy political counselor in Morocco. I worked a lot with my military colleagues on the relationship between the United States and Morocco and support of their role as a factor of stability and security in the region. We all worked on some aspect of the political parties and some aspect of local governance. So I had, again, in that capacity, the good fortune to meet and engage with some very senior leaders, but also to go and travel around the country to try to understand and learn about how Morocco looked outside of the major cities and outside the major capitals.
So a visit to Mystique, and I believe that the film of Casablanca has one of the most watched movies of Humphrey Bogart. I mean, not only for Humphrey Bogart, but I mean, anybody who's interested in the movies definitely has seen the Casablanca movie.
And don't even know how many times.
And it was never shot in Casablanca, but it remains as a sort of metaphor for the whole country, for the mystique, and for a lot of things. How do you look back? I mean, you've seen the Casablanca movie many times before you went, and after that you went to Morocco. How do you look at that? I mean, it's definitely different than the movie, but
well, it's
how is the perception?
It's different than it's obviously different than the movie, but what it shows is the different influences in Morocco. I mean, obviously the movie is a movie. I mean, it's fiction.
Of course.
Although there is a Rick's Cafe in Casablanca, I will tell you that. The main scenery, of course, that somebody said.
But I believe it was made after the movie, right?
Oh, it was made much after the movie. In fact, I'm told it was a retired.
Retired French intelligence.
A retired American assistance worker or agricultural attaché, somebody who worked in some capacity with the embassy there, went back and opened up this place called Rick's Cafe. But anyway, what I think the movie depicts. And I'm going out on a limb here because I'm not a film critic by any means.
Nostalgia, I mean.
Well, but what it shows the different influences. It shows, obviously filmed, fictionalized in the time of war, but you've got the sort of major powers, in the French impacting upon local institutions and local places. And I think that's a lot of what still happens in Morocco, because the ties between the country and particularly France, but also Spain, are very strong.
Yes.
But as I said at the outset, Morocco, I think, recognizes influences from the south, that is, from Africa. It's, of course, an Arab country. One of the official languages is Arabic, and there are obviously the ties there. So I think that's what the movie depicts, and I think that's what Morocco does, is to try to make the best of all of these different influences.
So definitely, as you have said in the beginning, the three-legged stool, with one in Europe, one in Africa, and one in the Middle East, or one in the Arab world, definitely can define Morocco of today and Morocco of yesterday and the future. Right.
That's how it was described to me.
So we leave now to the east after the break.
Okay.
And you're going to a very difficult assignment. We have to get into the details of it, so let's keep our listeners engaged and we'll not tell them where you've been until after the break. Okay?
So back again, you can call us at 2578-9407 with Dr. Brian Schott, Press Attaché at the American Embassy in Cairo.
Gives more than I can take. Sometimes sunshine gets lost in the rain, and it keeps pouring down. It just keeps coming down. I didn't have you. I couldn't live without you, baby. I wouldn't want to. If you didn't love me so much, I'd never make it through. 'Cause this life would kill me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. You are my heart, every breath I breathe, and I'm safe in your arms. You rescue me when I'm weak. You're strong. If you were gone, I don't know where I'd be. You were made for me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. I couldn't live without you, baby. I wouldn't want to. If you didn't love me so much, I'd never make it through. 'Cause this life would kill me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. If you didn't love me so, if you didn't love me so much, this life would kill me if I didn't have you. This life would kill me. I couldn't live without you, baby. I wouldn't want to. If you didn't love me so much, I'd never make it through. 'Cause this life would kill me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. I'm gonna pick up the pieces and build a Lego house. If things go wrong, we can knock it down. My 3 words have 2 meanings, but there's one thing on my mind. It's all for you. And it's dark in a cold December, but I got you to keep me warm. If you're broken, I will mend you, and I keep you sheltered from the storm that's raging on. Now I'm out of touch, I'm out of love. I'll pick you up when you're getting down. And out of all these things I've done, I think I love you better now. I'm out of sight, I'm out of mind. I'll do it all for you in time. And out of all these things I've done, I think I love you better now.
Back again, word of info and moving to another country.
I think it is definitely another experience. You're going to the eastern part of the Arab world in very different and strange circumstances. You're going to Baghdad, Iraq,
Correct.
and you're staying there for 1 year, right?
That's right.
How was it?
Amr, it was very, very interesting. In a lot of ways, unlike any place I'd served before. I was the cultural attaché, and we were balancing some of the largest educational, cultural exchange programs anywhere in the world against the challenges of working in Iraq. Then those challenges are well known. They're related to security. They're related to the ability to move around. They're also related to the interest of some Iraqis in engaging with us or not. So we identified those, and there were quite a lot, in fact, who were interested in our programming, interested in the English language programs, interested in our cultural engagement opportunities.
So you're responsible for offering them work like what's here in the Middle East, to help students to work, to go and engage in universities abroad in the United States, or it was simply teaching English and courses, cultural courses like that, or a mix of both?
It was a mix of both things, Amr. We had, you may have heard of the English Access Program, which provides micro scholarships to Egyptian youth to learn English after school and over in the summer. We had a very large program like that in Iraq. You've probably heard of the Fulbright program,
Yes, of course.
which is very popular here in Egypt. And we get some of Egypt's.
My uncle, my late uncle, had his first. He had the first Fulbright scholarship in 1945.
There you have it. Well, there you go, and it's going strong. I think the Fulbright program now encompasses some 70 or 80 people every year.
Maybe that's right.
Yeah, maybe that's including all of the
It's
exchange
usually a
opportunities, but-
postgraduate program, right? I mean, it gives you a master's degree and a PhD. My uncle went for a master's and PhD, as far as I remember, in this Fulbright program in the 40s. So most probably it is the same. It's always postgraduate, right?
It's postgraduate. The programs vary from country to country. Some are degree granting, some are not degree granting programs. Some are specializations. Some are for people, for scholars who have terminal degrees, that is, who have their PhDs and want to go engage in postdoctoral research. But like so many of the things we do, the purpose of that here in Egypt, as it was in Iraq, as it is everywhere, is to bring people together, to bring Egyptians and Americans with shared interests, with like interests together to work on something in common. And it's one of the ways that we build the lasting bonds between our two countries. We did that in Iraq as well. The challenge in Iraq was finding those people and engaging with them because of the challenges of moving around, not only the city but the entire country. So we found some innovative ways to do it. We worked through a lot of local partners. We worked with a lot of libraries. We worked with a lot of institutions and institutes at universities to spread the word about the program. We brought a lot of people into the embassy to do introductions and to do presentations there, rather than going out to the universities to do it. So we found ways to do it, and we always found interested audiences. We found people who were enthused and interested and wanted to engage, just like we find
very
here.
Cultured people. They are very much into education, and they have a very low degree of illiteracy over there in Iraq. So you definitely have a lot of listening ears. So if I may ask the question, I mean, looking back towards this program, a lot of people were engaged in the Fulbright and the other scholarships. How many of them came back to Iraq, or how many stayed over in the United States? Is there more or less statistics, or is it some of them came back and some didn't?
I think the best I can say is that some of them came back and unfortunately some didn't. I just don't know the numbers, to be perfectly honest with you. I do know it was a challenge because living and working in Iraq for so many people was so challenging that the opportunities they felt the opportunities just weren't there. But the vast majority of them, I believe, did come back. It wasn't an issue so much while I was there, although I understood that in some of the earlier years it was, as the situation while I was there was starting to settle down a little bit. But it was still a real challenge to engage, because the point is, again, to build those bridges, to forge those relationships between people, and then continue through those relationships to reach and to engage other people in the country.
The idea is not to brain drain
No,
the country,
not
but
at
it's
all.
more or less to make a sort of cultural communication on the level of education, right?
Yeah, and it's like the many things we do here. Again, you know, the Fulbright program I mentioned here. You've probably heard about the Higher Education Initiative that USAID, in conjunction with the Egyptian government, runs here in Egypt, offering certainly several hundred scholarships to Egyptians to study, whether it's here in Egypt or whether it's to study in universities abroad. And these are the kinds of things that bring people together. These are the kinds of things.
This will bring us to your tenure here in Egypt. I mean, you started in the almost mid-August.
I did, yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
And as a sort of a challenging job, which is the spokesperson for the American Embassy, and you're also involved as part of also in the cultural section of the embassy, or just as a press officer as well.
Well, we're the way the embassy is set up is the press office is one part of the public affairs section, the cultural affairs office is the other part of it. So we necessarily work closely together. We work closely together to help spread the word about our programs, to help spread the word about our engagement. I mean, my job, most simply stated, is to convey to the Egyptian public the breadth of what we do here, the breadth of our relationship with Egypt, and it's good and it's broad. We've got military engagement, we got educational support programs, we have the exchange programs I mentioned. We had a band in here a couple of weeks ago called Burn the Ballroom. We had a speaker in here. You missed that. But my point is, we're involved with Egyptians together and doing a great many things here.
So I would love to dedicate the final part of our program to talk about education or the culture opportunities of communication between the Egyptian and the American people through different measures. I mean, my uncle made use of this Fulbright program in the late 40s, and a lot of my colleagues, for example, in the mid-80s and the late 80s, had the chance to visit the United States of America, and work what they call the Peace Scholarships, which is a program that I think that does not exist anymore, right? The Peace Scholarship, or maybe it has changed its name or something like that.
It's not familiar to me, but it could have transformed into something.
Menah Salam, they used to call them like this. Yeah. And so we want, a lot of Egyptians would love to have the chance to, as they say, hit and run. Hit and run meaning that they will go to have a degree and come back to find much glorious or much illuminative opportunities back in their home country. Not to get rid of their roots, but to go back to the country and get engaged in more progress and more advance. So how far is this program of sending scholarships, and how long is these periods? Are they only for postgraduate master's degree or PhD, or just postdoctoral or undergraduate? Can you give us an idea of part of it?
Oh my! I wish I could in as much detail as you deserve.
Details, but I mean, of course,
but what I would say, let me say this: this comes at a right time because next week is what we call International Education Week.
That's good.
And the embassy, through the Information Resource Center, through web chats, working with Ahmed East, will be spending a lot of time talking a lot about these opportunities. People should keep a close eye on our website. I know that we just, within the last couple of weeks, announced, I think it is 4 different Study of the U.S. Institute Fellowship opportunities. I believe one of them is to focus on faculty development, another one is on teacher training, another one, 2 others on some aspect of U.S. society and culture. And these are opportunities for Egyptians to apply, as I said, to travel to the United States, hit and run, as you say. These aren't degree programs, these are short-term programs, 6 or 8 weeks during the summer. You have an intensive exposure, intensive training in these issues, these topics, and then come back. And this is in addition to the Fulbright program we discussed. You've probably heard about the International Visitor Leadership Program, which is even shorter, but we identify people for 2 to 3 week periods to go to the United States to meet some of their colleagues who are interested in the same topics, the same issues, and then come back. I mentioned the Higher Education Initiative with its opportunity for several hundred scholarships for Egyptians abroad or here in Egypt. And these are some of the things that we're doing, and I encourage you to spread the word. I encourage all your listeners to like I said, keep an eye on the embassy's web page, our Facebook account, because this is where these things are announced. And I'm sure there are many others that I've not mentioned.
So you give also a mention about the cultural cooperation. I mean, how much is the chance to every now and then to bring a band or a play or an author that presents his book, if it's related to the Middle East, or an orchestra like Boston, or something which is prestigious, to come to give a concert in Egypt? How far can this dream come true, and how frequent could it be?
Well, this will vary over a given period of time. It's appropriate that you ask now, because I can say that in the 3 months that I've been here, we have had three musical acts. Well, acts isn't the right word. We had a concert pianist come who played with the Cairo Symphony, excuse me, at the Cairo Opera House. We had a jazz quartet that came and played as part of the Cairo Jazz Festival. Like I mentioned, this power pop band, this band that played popular music, came and played 3 or 4 concerts here in and around Cairo.
But I believe that there was not much advertisement about that. I mean,
the opera was a pretty packed house,
yes.
And I know the Jazz Festival,
the Jazz Festival
did too. The event that this band played at the Cultural Center in Zamalek similarly drew a packed crowd. Now, we're not talking about stadium rock, for example.
But you can always sometimes bring, for example, Mick Jagger or something like that. The Rolling Stones. But this would be...
Would he even get off the airplane?
Yes.
Would he even get out of the airport?
This would be very commercial, you know. It's not going to, never going to be an embassy stuff, right?
Yeah, that would be really interesting, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I would mention, too, though, along the same vein, here now, well, wrapping up his program today, is a writer, Nicholas Kralev, who has been here for 6 days, I believe, and he's at American University of Cairo. The other day he was at Cairo University. He was at Future University. Had a roundtable discussion with a number of journalists, with representative of think tanks, and these are again opportunities to have an exchange of ideas.
He's quite a famous journalist and writer. And he has his own column, definitely it's very effective. Right?
And we were able to bring him out here to do this sort of engagement. I mean, people don't always want to talk with me or my colleagues at the embassy, but a broader range of the American experience and American expertise.
So we'll talk after the break about that.
So back again, word of info, and you can call us at 257-89407.
Sometimes it feels like I'm gonna break. Sometimes this world gives more than I can take. Sometimes sunshine gets lost in the rain, and it keeps pouring down. It just keeps coming down. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. I couldn't live without you, baby. I wouldn't want to. If you didn't love me so much, I'd never make it through. 'Cause this life would kill me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. You are my heart, every breath I breathe, and I'm safe in your arms. You rescue me. When I'm weak, you're strong. If you were gone, I don't know where I'd be. You were made for me. This life would kill me if I didn't have you. I couldn't live without you, baby. I wouldn't want to. If you didn't love me so much, I'd never make it through. 'Cause this life would kill me.
kill me if I didn't have you.
So, in the final moments of our program, which I really am very sad that it has gone so fast, with such an illustrious career and going in between academia and diplomacy, some points remain is that the common thing between this diplomacy and academia was the human being. You have been to different countries, you have worked with all aspects of ethnicity or ethnic groups, and you've been to a multi-ethnic country like Macedonia and Albania and Egypt, of course, Iraq, and Morocco, all with different ethnic groups, which really qualifies for another many theses that you can write, right? And a lot of research work that you can do. So, what brings the people together, and what's put them apart? With a piece of wisdom that you've got all through these years.
Oh my! I mean, you attribute far, far too much to to whatever it is I've done. But I will say this: I think that people want good lives. People want to be happy. People want to be with other people. I mean, this is the commonality among people. People need to eat. People need to have shelter. People need to have a place to sleep. We need to procreate to keep the human race obviously going. But I think people want to have decent lives, and they want to be happy in what they're doing, and that's what takes on the different form. Some people, art is a part of it. People create art in very different ways. It doesn't mean that one person's art is wrong and another person's art is right. What it means is that because there's this common humanity, there's got to be this respect for the differences. There's got to be respect for differences. You want the same thing that I want, but you just express it in a different way. There's got to be the willingness to accept that difference, and there's got to be the willingness to understand that at the core there's this common humanity that ties us together, but culture and society erects these different institutions to express and to achieve and to pursue the goals of humanity.
So living in different countries with a lot of different ethnicities forming these different societies, you found that more or less people tend to accept more than to diverge in the end of the day.
I think it's a challenge, frankly, to quantify it. Obviously, this is another discussion. You've got periods in history where the differences were so accentuated that people went to war and came to conflict over it. There are also periods in history when those same people who went to conflict were living amicably with one another until something sparked the difference. The common key, I guess, to me is to recognize and respect and to do everything you can to try to understand the differences. Now, of course, that assumes and you request and you demand the same thing of the others as well. I'm going to respect what you do, you respect what I do. And I think that's a challenge, and it doesn't always, obviously, as history shows, it's not always the case.
Until we find our utopias, right?
And it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's utopia is going to be the same.
Yes. So definitely, I mean, we are very happy to end the program with such a philosophical point of view from an anthropologist and a diplomat. Dr. Brian Schott, really we enjoyed you coming with us today, and we thank you very much for being our guest in our program.
Amr, the pleasure was mine. Nazla, it was a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was really our pleasure.